but there's a batting order. There's a priority order as to what matters most. When you have this insanely solid team culture, it's super sticky, okay? And the stickiness creates longevity, and longevity creates financial opportunity. All right, chiropractors and chiropractic students, welcome to the Family Practice Podcast. You know, the one you've been waiting way too long for, because this podcast will actually stay focused on chiropractic, not only what it takes to get world-class clinical results for kids and families in your community, but also what it takes to build a legendary, incredible family practice that takes care of your family way beyond your dreams. I'm Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be joined by Dr. Matt Hill, Dr. Ellie Wright, Jacqui Jakubowicz, and incredible guests, chiros, associates, CAs, all these folks making massive impact around the world. We're going to cover everything: pediatrics, perinatal, family practice. This is the podcast you've been waiting for, because moms and dads and families have always needed us. Now they're finally ready for us. I hope you're ready for the Family Practice Podcast. Let's go. All right, y'all, we got an episode here today from me that I do not want you to skip over because of the title, which is all about core values. See, here's what I did for a long time in my career that I want to speak right to in the first minute so you don't repeat this mistake. I took way too long in my business career to take serious the foundational elements of massive business and practice building: vision, mission, and core values. See, I just love to get to work. And so that's why I worry that a lot of people are going to skip over this one, because it seems too in the clouds. At least it did to me back in the day, because I freaking love getting stuff done. I love moving the needle, serving more kids, growing the practice, experiencing more miracles, and just seeing that fruit come back to our family as well. I mean, I can't wait to literally put the shoes on, put the boots on, and get after it. Now, what that meant is when I was in those early stages and I would hear every business leader, expert, guru, coach, mentor, podcaster talk about core values, talk about vision and mission, I'd be like, nah, boring. You know, can you give me your marketing strategy? Can you give me your SOPs? Can you give me your framework to get more stuff done? And then I realized that without these real freaking core value foundational concepts guiding, leading, clarifying, and setting the frame for everything you do and why you do it, I was absolutely dimming and limiting my power. When you skip these core steps to building your practice, you subluxate it, and it's a major, massive C1, C2, birth trauma, maternal distress, epigenetic, friggin' Hep B antibiotics piled on level of subluxation. You know, I just got to sneak a little perfect storm science into even these episodes where we talk about growing your practice and the practice growth side of things. So this one is actually a recording where I stepped into a place that had me really nervous actually to deliver this keynote. This leaders mastermind group where there was a whole lot of people in there with much bigger, by revenue at that time, much bigger businesses than I had. I was in a room full of really fancy folks when I delivered this one, and the crew, shout out to Dr. Josh Axe, Dr. Dan Sullivan, you know, Maggie, and everybody who really just said, hey, we believe in you. We know that you have led your team and built a more kind of, and that was always the dream, to build the Mayo Clinic, you know, mecca of pediatric chiropractic with PwC. And we didn't just do it on our clinical protocols and our marketing strategy and our systems and procedures. Those are rock solid. Those are freaking dialed in. But those are dialed in. We worked our tails off on that because our core values lead us. So what I want you to know about this one, then let's get into it, is core values move the needle way more than you would ever think. These are going to be taught to you. How to do this is going to be taught to you from me in a way where you can actually use it. See, that was my last kind of rub with like core values and vision and mission. Often, I not only mistakenly thought the concepts were a little too airy-fairy, but a lot of the people that taught them to me, it was taught in a kind of 30,000 foot view. I was never taught how to actually use them on the daily. So if you have core values for your practice, but you haven't looked at it, like you literally couldn't even know what they are right now, or you've never done it, or you have them, you actually love this concept, but you've always kind of struggled to be like, I don't know how this actually moves the needle and grows my practice every single day. Y'all, I'm obsessed with practice growth. That And about that it. And so this is teaching you core values in literally daily, actionable, implementable. Remember, that's our promise with the Family Practice Podcast. That's what has already early, we're only freaking, getting into, crawling and furniture cruising here as a podcast, right? Little pediatric developmental, analogy there. We're new on this podcast, but the feedback is fire and legit because people are finding out that this podcast isn't just entertaining and fun and kind of inspirational, but every single time they're like, I learn exactly step by step, implementable how to take action and grow my practice. So that's this, even though the topic may seem like, oh, in the past, I've never figured out how to actually use this. That's what I'm talking about a lot in this intro, and I talk exactly from that frame during this keynote. Here's how we built them, yes. Here's why they matter, yes. But most importantly, what's going to be different with this from probably everybody else you've heard teach about core values, here's how we use them every single day in our brick and mortar practice. And you know what we could use before we get in? We could use your review. We could use your help sharing this podcast. Chiropractic is in family practice, nervous system focused, principle chiropractic has never faced a greater opportunity to absolutely explode your practice's purpose, impact, and income than right now. If you are not moving forward as fast as you possibly can with full commitment to this family practice model right now, you're really missing the greatest opportunity that chiropractic has ever seen. And you're going to leave yourself stuck in a red ocean of back pain, spinal decompression, shockwave, and side hustle slinging, okay? That's fine if that's your calling, but if serving kids, pregnant moms, and families through a principled chiropractic model is your calling and crushing it and building an incredible life for your family, whilst and why, and because of doing that is your calling, then you all need to be on this Family Practice Podcast, and so do thousands of other chiropractors. You know right now your chiropractic homies who are stuck in frickin' screenings, all health talks at the local CPA accounting firm, getting new patients that they don't even really want into the practice, accepting insurance, cracking backs, flying 7, doing scripts, billing insurance, dealing with all that BS. You know a lot of vitalistic, family-focused chiropractors that you went to school with and that you've met in the chiropractic circles, and you know how badly they need this podcast. So please, a little CTA right in the front end of this thing, please take the time today to text this one out, share the podcast, and if you could, please make sure you're downloading every episode. And the final ask is if you're getting value out of this and you really had something that goes, wow, that moved the needle for me, would you go to wherever you're listening, Apple or Spotify, find the review section, tap on it, leave us a 5-star review, and write up a personal note that says, hey, I love the Family Practice Podcast for this reason. That will help us grow this mission and impact more lives through chiropractic. Because this podcast is for chiropractors, but it's really designed to go through incredible, courageous, impact-making chiropractors to serve and save millions of more kids and families and get them into this chiropractic world that we get to live. So the Family Practice Podcast has a massive mission and vision behind it, and the values that drive us every single day, like you're about to learn, are exactly that. So we need your help getting this done. If you're a raving fan, you love the podcast, please put it on the group text, please put it on your Instagram stories, and please download and leave us a review. God bless you. You're going to love this one. Let's go. But first off, just to relate to everyone, because oh my goodness, have we been there. And Andrew and I were blessed to dig in with Maggie yesterday and go through it. My awakening and awareness, which we have to have that, right, before we can go into action, is clarity of awareness. Mine was 8 years ago that summer. In that summer, I had 2 associates. We had 5 or 6 CAs. We had cruised, not technically cruised, but it seems like it, like we hauled to $1 million practice. And I did it a little bit more the standard way with chiropractic. We were already, God had moved, it was moving us in this direction of pediatrics and birth trauma and the perfect storm and neurologically challenged kids. But I started with one goal in mind, like so many of us do. We can just take our group we were a part of and change the name, and they all behave the same. Pick a number, how many a week you want to see, how much you want to make, laser focus, and you're going after that. And so those of us that are in the right, in our heart and in our soul, our purpose and our mission and our vision are still there, but they're not what they don't lead. the number leads, the success metric leads, the how many per week. And so whatever, if you're not a chiropractor, just transfer that, right? Like how much you make, how many you see. And so we got there. We had $1 million practice in like 3-4 years, 3.5, 4 years. And then we cruised for 3-4 years. We were having babies and building our life and having fun. And most of you are all cash, so some of you probably never even experienced this, but we were a very insurance-dependent practice, so I couldn't wait to get rid of that. So the beginning of that year, we completely took down $1 million practice. We were literally getting over $1 million worth of checks per year from one insurer, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. We took that all down. January 1st of that year, we basically restarted the practice, all cash. Took a big hit, but also took a big boost, right? Because we weren't dealing with all that crap. And then literally just 90 days later, after this whole year of working on this, we had to let go our one associate because we realized and all my fault, first lesson in leadership, we had set everything in motion about those numbers and that money. And so for a short period of time, the money wasn't going to be as much there. And this person had set their whole job and their whole career on that. And so they became completely incongruent with us and needed to be fired. And then the other associate doctor got pregnant, was ready to move home to her family. We love her, still love her. So she quit 3 weeks later. So I went from 3 doctors to me. Christina was pregnant with Tiny, baby number 4, had the worst morning sickness, like literally couldn't get off the couch. We had 3 little kids. And then I got bit by a tick and got Lyme's disease. So we literally had no chance. I lost everybody on the team because everything was upside down. It was all about a metric and it was all about money and we had plenty of it. And so it was a nice, fresh start. So if you've got burned, if you've got toast, if you burnt it down knowingly or unknowingly or a mixtape of the two, it's a nice, fresh start. And leadership then kicked in. So if you go to the first slide for me, Maggie. So for us, I had no clue where to go. The only mentors I had told me how to market, see a bunch of patients. I had good clinical mentors, so we were always committed to clinical results. I didn't know anything about a team. I literally wandered in the dark, basically, with the practice for 3 years, and we didn't grow. The only way we grew was the way I knew before, me and Christina doing everything. And so I sought leaders like crazy, and it was actually the 10X event at the Omni. I don't even honestly remember how I got there. I remember we went. Jason was with me and a couple other friends, and that event didn't immediately turn into this, but it did turn into my friendship. I already had known Dan, immediately turned into my friendship with Dave and meeting Josh. And I just, as I've always done, I just stalked. I just was like, I will be where you guys go. And because I realized, wow, they scaled not just on their own back, but they built a team. They built a culture. They had core values. So this stuff I'd heard about, that for me, I'm such a farmer, I'm like, do chores. So when I hear like core values and principles and mission and vision, I'm like, you guys done yet? So can we do some work, right? I used to skip all of this core value stuff. And so we're going to break it down how we deploy it, but I'll give you one more real life story. So our kids, most valuable, those of you that have them, nothing matters more in the future. You do when you care for kids, every one of us, God put on our hearts that kids matter most. And so for our kiddos as a consumer, with their school, right? Church and school, that decision, other than the health, I just don't know that there's a bigger one. And so I grew up, Iowa farmer, Missouri Synod Lutheran, egg bake and blue hymnals. And, that was just my life, right? If you're a Midwesterner, you know all about egg bakes and casseroles and cream of mushroom soup. And I associate those with Lutheran if you missed the reference. And so from that, I just grew up, went to a Lutheran school, did what we did. So we bring our kids there. And this first school, not the one, this is the school we're at now, Trinity Oaks Christian Academy. The first school we were at, on their website, on their pamphlets, everywhere in the school, painted on the walls, very similar words. Super similar vision statement, mission statement, core values. The first school that we went to for the first couple of years, paying our hard-earned money, but most importantly, putting the trust, what's more important than our children's faith walk, academics. Schools can have nice academics. Can they bring our children's faith out with them every day? First school was the most bland, blah, nothing happened. Written on the website, it was like a marketing pitch, right? It never came to life. But because we now had started to get a little bit almost probably, I don't even know, skeptical about where all Christian schools just Christian on the website, but not in day to day. And this school, we'd moved out to the farm. This school is 30 minutes away. We run awesomely busy lives, productive lives. So when we went to this school, we actually visited 3 times before we made the decision to transfer our kids over there because it was a big commitment. And when we went through, I had read every one of these. I had looked over it. I had prayed over it, but I needed to meet the leader. And so I had asked a bunch of the other families. I had asked a bunch of the teachers and support staff, like, hey, does this place actually bring these things to life? They had all said yes, but by that point, we knew what leadership was. So when we took our tour, we went with Dr. Robel, the head of the school, and I literally leaned in, and as he's interviewing us, I interviewed him, and I said, hey, and I had these like on the packet. I said, these are all here on this packet on the website. How do I know they're actually going to come alive every day for my children? And his answer, I'll never forget it. He goes, because I walk the halls and make sure. I was like, oh, I love you. And so hang with me on this, because you can take this one of two ways. He took personal commitment. As a leader, he's like, that's on me. Now, what he doesn't do day to day, so chiropractor, serving patients one-on-one, however you take care of your patients, you provide your clients, you do whatever. He doesn't walk into every room and teach every class. There's 350 students. He doesn't do every adjustment. He doesn't adjust anyone. He doesn't teach a single class. But he leads the team. Every single teacher, every single lunch lady, every single person there, them living these out and modeling and displaying it and teaching it to the kids is his responsibility. So his responsibility is other people, his team, his staff, to then get it to the kiddos. So is he the direct conduit of the core values to the children? He's not, but he's absolutely the power source. He's not. God is, and that's why he's so powerful, because he doesn't take any credit for that. He simply stepped into what God called him to do through education. And so I can tell you, this school brings it to life. So what's been different? Every single day, he's right there. You can't get away from him. I think he's here, Dr. Robel. He literally, and he's amazing. He convinced me to get on the board. The first year or two, I knew that he would ask me to get on. So I would exit the side door with my kids, because I can't say no to people like that. So I'd be like, if I sneak away and don't see him, he can't ask me the question. Yeah, by the third year, got on the board. And so what I love is they know the kids by name. They know their character. And then the bottom bullet point there is crucial too. When you build your core values, I think it's extremely valuable to make a list of non-negotiable behaviors, because non-negotiable behaviors from your team member are a reflection of non-aligned values, right? So we're not necessarily tracking values with this, or behaviors. So I say it in the order I'm thinking it now. We're tracking values from this. Culture is actions, yes, but they're driven by values. So I think as we go through this, one big lesson for me was, holy cow, had I tolerated too much at PwC. So I wasn't crossing those lines, or Christina wasn't crossing those lines, but we were avoiding conflict. We were not calling people to the mat when they weren't bringing the core values to life. So if you go to the next one. So what I love about core values and culture, and when we put these two words together, words matter, tone matters, definitions matter. The Iowa farmer in me, gee, thanks, Dave, the non-smart brilliant, is this, and you're dead on. I take whatever neurological understanding God gave me and I apply farmer principles so they just come to life and people can make sense of them. I needed to slow down to speed up with this stuff when we poured into it. So I had to really understand what a core value is, what culture is, and then I needed a value prop. I needed to know their value clearly so that then I could use my value, time, and resources to go to them. So if you skip this very foundational step, I think these are the things that just keep getting skipped. We got to fix that system. We got to fix our marketing funnel. We got to do that org chart. And it's just so easy because this stuff seems pie in the sky, core values and culture and mission and vision. So we're all workers, so we love to just get right to it. So the base of this is simply core values or culture. Culture is your core values brought to life. So writing down your core values are not the action step. Writing down and building your core values and then thinking through how can we, not just you, how can we bring these to life? In action every day, this looks like what? And when you do that, and we're going to keep going through it, and we're going to bring these guys up to literally get right to the goods of how do we do this? So what I love about core values, it's an attraction beam. One of the biggest challenges we all have when we hit growth, when your product is great, when your delivery is great, you need team. and it can be really hard to keep up with hiring. Well, when you have core values and a culture that oozes exactly what people want, and especially in today's world, when the world is going a little bit funkier, good gets to make a cleaner comeback. I think we're all looking at this is a little rant. I talk about this at the board meeting all the time. I talk about it with our team. I despise when it's like when we're about to start a good lesson with these words. Well, in today's world, right? My kids are forbidden from starting sentences with the words well and but, because those are excuses. Those are two outline. I'm like, oh, start that sentence over. They love it. They will. And so when we look at this, the good in the world outdoes the bad. When you move people towards something, you move them away. We spend so much time on the bad, so much time on what we want to move people away from, we're actually moving them towards it. And so what this does, it creates an attraction beam, because if there is negative, toxic cultures elsewhere, well, guess what you are? An attractive place to go work and to go do things. The second thing that core values do, and it's it's hard to argue with that first bullet point as to their value prop, but the second one is, I love math. I can run a spreadsheet. I can do that. I see data-driven decisions for sure, but I don't want to live in, I've lived in a, data-driven only practice in life, and we hit all these marks, we hit all these goals, and it was like, cool, now what? And so what we actually do now is our most important KPIs are character-based, integrity-based, core value-based. We literally created a little just super simple scoring system that says, are you, when here, living out these core values? And if you are, cool. Now we can get into the math. But the math doesn't matter if they're hitting their marks, doing this, sales, adjustments, whatever KPI, traditional. KPIs matter, but in sequence of what matters, their core values matter most. Then if somebody's off and they're not getting the job done, you don't sit down and be like, go ahead and print that spreadsheet off. Let's get that laminated checklist of the things you need to do, Jason. You sit down and you go, what's up? Where are you off in your character and your core value? And if you get them back on track there, you're good to go. All right. So when you go to get to choose them, right? That little subtitle is, I think, where this really comes to life. What I see, and we're blessed to do this with our PX tribe, our pediatric chiropractic tribe. And I always just have chiropractic examples, but I think in this natural health space, we're all more alike than anything else. We tend to take core values for our business. So now I'm talking about business, but actually say that out loud. I would encourage you to do this for the personal ones too. And they're way too high in the sky. There's no actionable, implementable example of a lot of our core values. What a business's core values need to be so that they're displayed is they need to not just be cute Hobby Lobby tiles on the wall, all right? They need to actually come off the wall metaphorically and be lived out for your patients, through your team members. And so if you look at your core values, one question you can ask when grading and saying, hey, do I want this one to stick? And especially with this weekend, I love that list. Existing, upgraded. I actually wrote that in. I'm like, these are my upgraded core values. Are you actually able to bring them out every day so people could see them and feel them and experience them? If they're too high up there. So, in a lot of words, go to thesaurus.com. And if you have this big fruity word and you're like, okay, I love that word, but I don't know how I would actually do that every single day. Well, then find one that means the same thing, but has action tied to it. Because if you don't bring your core values to action, you don't have a culture. Culture is core values brought to life every single day through your team. So what ours are, that's our PwC core values. Ours are a mix of stating to our patients, this is our clinical level. We're going to create impact. We're going to be the best that's out there. It's really tied to customer patient experience. And then at least half of our core values, really all of our core values, are a commitment to each other. Okay? Don't miss that either. We're so customer and patient centered, which is phenomenal. But the best way, and I learned it here, the best way you can take care of your patients, your customers, your clients is take care of your team. So when you're building core values as a leader, this is your commitment to each other first. And as long as you can honor and bring it to each other first, it's set. It'll come from you to your patients. Next one for me, Mike. All right, so keep rolling there. Okay, so just a couple of kind of final clarity points turned into action points, and then we'll bring our crew up here. All right, I love strategy. This slide hurts my heart. Like everything I've written down, we do, like my whole UGP exercise is whiteboarding. That's why I've made the joke, Dave's whiteboard should be covered in gold, right? Like I just want to go to that whiteboard. And John knows, I send so many Google Docs to the team every single day. Like this is there, everything. Jacqui, when I'm on the plane, Jackie's always looking over my shoulder like, ooh, where's that arrow going to go? I love building strategy like none other, because then I love getting the strategy started and then not having anything to do with finishing it, but they all do. See where that went on there, right? Like, this is a great idea. Are you guys good with this? Cool. Go execute it. I'm going to go do another one. All right. And I think they laugh, but they get that. That is how we're built. We'll go through that when they come up. So strategy is amazing, but also useless with a weak core value. If your team's not on mission, not on vision, and not a cultural alignment, you can have the most beautiful, perfect strategy. It doesn't see the light of day, right? Because it just doesn't come to life. So that's where culture really activates your people, and it continues to get them to move forward and execute when things are tough. And there will be a regular exposure to tough things for all of us at work and in our life. So culture creates that identity. And I love that. Learn that 100% from Joshua and this crew. Again, a step I used to skip, like, okay, what is the identity? Does our team member, every one of them, part-time VAs working 5 states away, must be a core value match. Must absolutely be a core value match. Don't cheat this. You'll think that there's like a line in the face chart, sand. I got you, Maggie. I didn't say that wrong. That there's a line in the sand, and you're like, well, these folks down here, they cannot have the same core values. I can let excuses go. That mismatch of core values will penetrate and change and kind of like infiltrate up the org chart and let people get excuses for not doing it. So it creates the identity. It ensures your core values are really brought to life. It creates raving fans. Now it transfers. People, we were talking about it yesterday, getting our team members from our patients because they want to be a part of that core value experience. They see how Jacqui, Matt, John, Morgan get to live. They don't have that at their job at all. So they may have twice the salary. They may have a 401k. They may have, health insurance benefits at their other job. Who cares? On the scale of what matters, having a purpose and living it out every day beats the pants off of all that sort of stuff, right? Ping pong tables, the whole thing, all right? We should get a ping pong table, though, and like an infrared sauna. I think that's next. So they get to go towards that. The strong culture is the only thing you need for onboarding. This is where it comes to life. What is our onboarding? There's no checklist. There's no training. Even our new young docs, like before they learn the 5-step neurotonal framework of adjusting, they literally just get dipped in the culture. Their job is to just experience life being on this team and how awesome it is to live it out that way. So it's our onboarding plan, and it really transforms things. Next one for me, Miss Maggie. All right, so what do they get? Now, our last slide or two is perfect transition to have these guys come up. So if you 3 crazy peeps want to come on up, John, Matt, Jacqui, we have your director's chairs for you, all right? So this is an example of that, and then we're going to interview and go through it with them. If you really want to maximize your core values and your culture, don't think of how it changes your life. Think of how it changes their life. Again, the most important, they we're speaking to is not actually your patients and your customers and your clients. Don't skip that. I know we're going a million miles an hour through this. That's where I thought, well, if we're so patient-centered, they matter so much, the obsession over here with patients allowed us to be like, well, I will let this behavior, I will let this lack of a core value match with this doctor and this person go because they're good at helping a lot of patients. But they were awful for our team, horrendous for our culture, right? And so what I was doing is I was limiting their life experience, thinking we were expanding the patient's life experience. And so really I want to finish this session, the back half of this session, with really seeing how it comes to life for your team members, because that's really where it is. So the value they get, the finances come. As much as I just a second ago, I said, does salary and bonus and 401k matter? The answer is yes. Okay. Do KPIs matter? The answer is yes, right? You can't skip these things just because you put more important things in front of them. The answer is E, all the above, but there's a batting order. There's a priority order as to what matters most. When you have this insanely solid team culture, it's super sticky, okay? And the stickiness creates longevity, and longevity creates financial opportunity. That's just how math plays out. Somebody in their first year, second year, third year of whatever position, they haven't earned a gigantic salary or bonus. They haven't. That's the math of it. So if you want that math, if you want people, like we have huge goals for the financial take home and the life expression of our team. So by having those big financial goals, we have to triple down commit to bringing the core values to culture to life, because otherwise they'll leave. People don't leave strong cultures. When they're this whole job resignation thing, the great resignation, they're leaving for better pay, for better benefits. That's just like when people say, oh, why did I call it? Because I have this problem. No, they're coming to you for a better life. They might have symptoms or whatever crap they wrote on the paperwork, but beyond that is the better life. They're coming to you with a new path for a better life. So this is the same. If somebody says, you know what, $20,000, I get paid more there, I work less there, that they're lying. They're actually lying to themselves, which sucks most, right? And so they're staying for culture. So I'm gonna read this. She's not with us, and then so I'll just sit right here, John. Go right through this now. And so Jen sent this picture to Christina and I after a big team building event we all went to. Really early, rolling in her mini. Is she a town and country lady? Yeah. Our CA team, they're all in minis. They go drag racing on the weekend in their minivans. They have little wine holders in the minivan that I don't think is supposed to be in there. But Jen is the best. As she said, time for a quick annual thank you. Seriously, you guys are so much fun. Honored to be some part of this huge vision. Love serving alongside you guys and the rest of the team. I'm also grateful and proud you two believe in me enough to take me along on that trip. I want you to know that I really appreciate it and the time and sacrifice it takes to bring the whole team. I also want you to, I took in everything, and as always, excited to serve bigger and better. I hope I show that daily. I know you're not supposed to read on slides when you're up here, but her words are the expression, the real life of what we're doing over here with these bullet points. It's funny, after 5 years, when my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and I know there's a chance I won't see my kids at all that day, I still feel like there's nowhere else I'd rather be. How blessed does that make me? Thank you for creating that for me. And Christina, as a thank you, if you buy Fresh Moms, I will take full responsibility for their life. Yep. So Christina's a little bit of an executor. So when the flowers die, Jen dies. Just kidding. But so I love that she snuck that in there. That sarcasm is one of our core values for sure at PwC. So that's just an expression of it. One more slide, Maggie, and then we'll get to this crew. Actually, I'm going to skip that because that's going to come alive with these guys right here. So this is in your notes. This will get us into the break, but then these guys will bring it out too. So I'm going to go through these. Never shut up about these. These are the steps I've taken. I really don't like the word I or me, but if I can be a vehicle for this mastermind of showing up, never not showing up, listening to what Josh, Dan, Dave, and everybody who here teaches, and then bringing it to life, this is my cheat code. This was me looking back ahead of this and saying, how did it happen? And here's the blueprint for that. So number one, I just always get around it. And the beautiful thing about making that commitment to be around it with you all is then I wasn't going to I needed to be around it every day. So it changed my hiring criteria of like, how many Dans can we put on our team? That's really what it came down to. Number two, spend 80% of your time on the interview. I spoke about this yesterday in that session. We don't even get to like the job part, right? We get to, are you a core value match? Number three, obsessively every meeting. Who knows that they get into a meeting and you go right into the problems, right? You skip the wins, you skip everything. You're like, that broke, fix it, Motley. That broke, they wouldn't have Motley fix it. But you know where I'm going with that, right? And so you can't skip it. When you go over the wins, it's when you get to re-express the purpose. And then number four is where the leadership team, so we're going there next, they have the least amount of wiggle room on living this out. And that's a good thing. That's what a leader wants, is more the narrow path, right? That's what God has asked us to do, is to not be like, oh, that's okay. No, actually narrow it in so you can go all the way down and then just put that impact in front of it. All right. So questions for the crew. We're going ladies first. Miss Jacqui, all right? When you guys take a look at this, I know Jen kind of spoke to it, what makes you most excited? Proud is in here in this question in the way that we talk about it, meaning like there's impact from it. What makes you most excited and proud to go to work for us each day?
Well, across all of our companies, we have a very defined mission, and that is what wakes me up every day, gets me excited about what we do. So our people and what we're doing, I just know that, I am connected to chiropractic because I was a parent who needed help for my kid. Chiropractic changed my life. It changed our family. It changed the entire trajectory of who I am as a person and how God is using me. So every day I wake up knowing that I get to help our community by bringing them into our practice, help other doctors do the same thing in their hometowns, and what the human cost is globally for the impact that we're going to have on generations and the influence that that'll have.
Agree with everything she just said. To kind of go off that and continue it, I love what motivates me and what motivates us as a team is the growth that we have because of the leadership that's been put in place and then that we can provide for our team. I'll say it like this, like whenever you are working with someone, I'll say working with someone instead of working for someone, you want that leader to be out in front. You want them to be continually learning, developing, growing, because if you get to a point as any type of employee and you can catch them, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when you're going to say, you know what, maybe at this point, I need to do something else, go something else, start something else. And so in a way, like, yes, our culture is beautiful because of what it's created and the difference that you can see in our community, but it's so growth oriented because our leaders push ourselves to self-develop, to grow, to lead. That way everyone else wants to continue to just level up. And so I really think growth is what's so exciting, in addition to just the great, like just the happiness, the love, the all the cool Scrabble wall stuff that we see. But it's really a growth mindset that we've put in place that we're just all in it together.
Don't let Matt fool you. He's in charge of Hobby Lobby runs for his family. He's Captain Throw Pillow. Real quick before John answers, I know some of you have different, right? If you got a brick and mortar, chiropractic clinic or that, this is you got this and you're like, Team PWC, easily transferable. And if you have a different healthcare or a virtual business, you may dismiss some stuff a little bit about this because they're there in person every day. And you may have used that as an excuse in the past to say, so culture and core values, way harder for me to transform across Zoom, Slack, and Asana. So John runs PX and PX Docs, which is our online training. So this was a huge hurdle for me. After we had built an incredible culture at PWC, I got fearful, to be honest. Like, how am I going to send this to a VA in Carolina, to John in Franklin, where everybody else lives, and get this done? And so John's on the virtual team.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up this piece just to lean more into purpose. Josh talked a lot about purpose earlier, but purpose when it comes to the product. So we've all, like Tony was just saying, we've got supplements and software and brick and mortars in here. We have all sorts of different industries. I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of different companies, none of which have the purpose behind the product that we have right now. And so as a marketer, especially, I know we have a lot of marketers here in this room, to be able to, the highest level in which I'm judged, if you use the KPIs, is going to come down to some pretty basic terms: leads, revenue, some of the stuff that most businesses need to survive. Without the purpose behind that brand, once you arrive there, it's a pretty empty space if you don't have that culture and purpose behind it. I've just found, even just through our company, this applies to any leader in here that might be questioning whether or not the entire team knows the real reason why you're doing what you're doing. I feel like it really just comes down to that. And our wins channel, I think, is my favorite thing that we have on our team because, again, leads, revenue, all that stuff is just, it's there. It's always going to be there. But once you see the impact that that's making with whatever product you have, I feel like that's really what it comes down to. And for me as a marketer, it's everything, and this company is everything because of that.
So the bow on this is, if you've built your company to this point based almost solely, again, you don't have to raise your hand and say, because I'll raise mine, based upon data and metrics and how many do you see and how much do you make. If you were a data-driven company to get started, hey, that probably worked. That probably drove you. It probably got you to a pretty rad place that you can now, you're not starting from zero now. You can now grow from that to this. So what you do is you don't get rid of data. You don't get rid of KPIs and lead generators. You don't get rid of those things. She's got a conversion percentage. He's got a conversion percentage. He's got a conversion percentage that we track, but it's the third tier of what matters. So what you do is you start making this stuff matter more, and you put it first, and then you follow up with data. That's as simple as it is. It's a sequence of a pecking order more so than anything else. Maggie, while we're doing this, can you go back to that, speaking of the tiles, just a picture of PwC's core values? Because the words they're using came off the wall while they answered, right? Impact, family, like that's where it is. Experiencing the joy, like that's literally what we're there. They get up every day to bring that to life. That's what they just were talking about there. So, all right, back to Jacqueline. How does the company, how do we support your personal and professional growth?
Well, being totally transparent with you, being the parent of a special needs child, when you are going through a storm like that, even though I'm a natural dreamer and I always have been, you go through a period of time where you stop dreaming, right? You become stagnant and you believe that things that you hoped for or wanted maybe won't happen. That's what's so cool about our culture is that when we got that back in our family, and then I joined the team, I got that back in my soul in a new way. And that's been the hugest gift. Nobody champions me more than this man right here. And he brings us along for all of this. And we do the work every day. That's totally part of it. Like we earn it, but also he matches us for everything we earn. You know, last year we bought a boat. Nobody was more excited for my family to achieve that dream than this guy. So yeah, I hope that answers it. Sorry for the tears, but I'm a crier, y'all.
So good. I just think you can't follow that. I mean, there's just such a contrast in what we get to do. I think I can see this contrast in, I didn't start out of my career as a chiropractor. I went into business, I went into recruiting, I went into management. I did all of those kind of different things for a company that was very much metric based. Like they talked a lot about team and work-life balance and all those things, but inevitably, like Dr. Tony said, life speaks louder than the actions speak louder than what you get to do. And now on the other side of that, as part of a company that has an online teaching component, a brick and mortar practice, a outreach to parents, like it is so vastly different, the mission and vision and care and community and team that we get to have, that just seeing that contrast professionally is just so, it feels so good. Because when you work for another, like I worked for a Fortune 500 company before, and the days I was away from my kids, I felt like I was making a contrast. I was saying, you know what, I'm away from my kids, I'm doing this so that I can support them when I get home. And now it just all flows together. Like my kids are at the office with me. They know when I go to work, I'm going to work not just to, bring home a paycheck, but I'm saving lives. Like I literally write it in my passion planner, SNL. He taught me that. I'm there to save lives and to help people. And they know that. And just being able to bring my family along with that, with the culture is so big professionally, because then there's not these personal professional boundaries that we like to put on work. It's just, this is my life and this is what I want to live. And it's just so motivating.
Yeah. Again, not much more to add to that except for the word action. Last one was purpose. This one's action. And I'm the most recent hire up on, the stage here about a year ago. They brought me on. And so one thing that Tony and Christina said that turned me from lukewarm to red hot was really their, not even the core values, but the way that you approach you approach faith, you approach your family, and then you approach business. And we run fast. Like the business side of it is not third in priority as far as like, our day-to-day activities, But when I then interviewed the employees and a lot of the leadership team, and it was very apparent that was part of the DNA, and that made all the difference. And since then, every single day for the past year and some change, I mean, man, the action on just that side of things is really, I mean, it's made a difference. That applies to to any employee you want to hire. You want to make sure that they, I mean, it's a family at the end of the day, so you got to have that component to it. And I feel like once it stops becoming like the family, because it's top down, bottom up. Like you need to be able to have that trust and the authority component of it. And I feel like every day we get the opportunity to do something awesome, but it comes from such an incredible leadership drive and team component. But
I think you should hang on to it so you can answer the next one first, so you don't have to just,
Sure.
You've had the short end. Yeah, after these two rock stars, yeah. So if you're a company that wants to go fast and you find your team continues to fatigue, well, then they're chasing the wrong goal. Nothing refuels your battery faster than a big ASS, which is the word for donkey, purpose, all right? It's the farmer in me, okay? If you don't have donkeys, get donkeys, Jason Day. So nothing refuels someone's tank like a unbelievably huge purpose, vision, and culture, and that they then live out. So we love to go fast. We are literally, our business is a Dan Sullivan workout, okay? There's a minute rest in between. And we love it. We all lean into it, and it's there. So, all right, John, number 3. How are big decisions made within our company?
We spar. I mean, we do the L10s. We apply EOS to our company, and so every monthly meeting, because we're moving so fast, there's a lot of moving pieces, and our weekly meetings, of course, cascade up to that. But we fight for the best idea. And because of our range of knowledge inside the company and the industry, allows us to do that. But honestly, I would just say we spar for the best idea, and that's important. When it's just someone casts a thing, Tony said he whiteboards and he throws it to us to bring to life. That's not entirely true. Like that whiteboard session is collaborative. It does, it doesn't just come to life because one person says it and then the rest has to happen. I've been a part of organizations like that, and it's not fair to the team, and ultimately that does fizzle out. So, but when it comes down to it, we make it happen.
That's a good tactical example of it. Like that, I will get the whiteboard rolling, and as soon as I can get these guys on Zoom or in person, I hand them the marker. Now, a super tactical thing to say, but like I didn't used to do that. I literally used to get the whiteboard all the way done and then try and get everybody on, and that was why it didn't get all the way done, because it was just me designing and deciding, and then they were supposed to be doing. This is, if you have not read Clockwork Systems, I don't love that guy, everything that guy writes about, but if you've read Clockwork System, he talks about the 4 Ds of leadership and delegation. Decision making is the most empowering component of being on a team, and a lot of teams only have 1 or 2 people making all the decisions, and then they wonder why people fatigue. So when Christina and I changed, when I say Christina, I mean Christina, the chief decision maker of the past, when that would get into a different place, and that was hard for us because we had built to a place by doing it that way. So I'm glad you bring that up, because we definitely do it together.
Yeah, and in all of our businesses, there's a high level of execution that has to happen, right? Things have to get done. They have to get done with excellence on a time frame. But one of the biggest drains that can happen in any company is just being an executor. Yeah. And so like if there's not a piece of that, you're not part of the decision, you're not part of the why, you're not part of the mission, that can be draining. Again, contrast. That's where I was, with the bigger Fortune 500 company, is it gets passed down. It's like, okay, you go do this. You're like, well, what if this isn't no, you do it anyway. And it's just so amazing to be able to sit at that whiteboard and say, okay, let's all get on the same page and all have a piece in the decision making. It makes you feel like an owner with maybe not having as full of ownership as the leader. So with all of your teams, I think that's a big way to up the culture and to really help see the why of the execution is have more people have a leadership team involved in the decision making.
I think also our teams have incredible ideas about ways that we can innovate. And often they can become disconnected from the mission when they feel that their voices are not heard and valued. So that's really important. And to the point of like our leadership team making decisions, I also think it's really important to properly train your team on how to think, like help them understand like how you arrive at decisions, and what you want the end result to be. And the end result always needs to be making decisions that are in alignment with who you say you are. And bringing that to life.
That's it. That's our decision criteria are on the wall. How do we all make decisions, from a part-time person to us in these seats? By those 7, those are the gradients. That's how you make a decision. All that aligns into a compass, and it sends you in the right direction all the time. All right, right at it here. So last exciting, fun question here. So what excites you about the future of our companies and the mission and the vision?
Education and empowerment for parents. I think about the revolution that we're going to have in the world when we have parents who are connected to their instincts, who are feeling empowered and educated to make decisions that are in alignment with what their values are, and what that's going to look like for chiropractic being out front. Kids with fully functioning, thriving nervous systems and families that are doing that together, and what that's going to mean for the world.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when we're having a tough day, it's like God provides that 1 minute of oh, this is why. And I remember having a tough day and going in and adjusting someone, and I didn't really expect it. But, every time you go in and you see a patient, you always kind of check your emotions, right? You're like, okay, I want to be all into this. And I remember them coming and saying, I just love how every time I come in here, you are all smiling, you are all inviting. It's just amazing what's within these walls. And I was just like, that is so cool that we can work so hard, do these hard things, but then still like have that culture just exude. And what I'm most excited about is, one of our themes, I think a year or two ago, was within these walls, is we can control what's within these walls. But actually what I'm excited about is what we can do beyond these walls. It's like what Josh says. Like, I love how he says, bring heaven to earth. And our mission is exactly what Jacqui said. So how do we continue to work so hard and just with the right purpose to go beyond those walls, beyond, wherever we thought was possible?
We will never arrive at where we want to actually achieve. Like, we'll always be leveling up, just like we're here today doing this weekend. Next year, we're going to have even bigger goals, bolder goals. And that's what I love about this group. That's what I love about our businesses. That's what I love hearing about other businesses, even over the past 24 hours. We'll never arrive. And that's the beauty of it. We get to set that treadmill to that next level, of incline and pace and keep on going and bring along leaders alongside us to actually be able to keep up and not either stay the same or go backwards. So I think it's just the beauty of that. That gets energy.
That's so slow down to speed up. That's really what this is. This is the fundamental bricks and foundation of who you are, and your business is why you get up every single day. It is a direct expression of you, the founder. So match those core values. Everybody around you, make them as aligned and as similar to you as possible, and watch what the whole saying, if you want to go far or go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Somebody needs to upgrade that saying. So I think I'm doing it. If you want to go far and fast, get this all together. That's the answer. It's not an or. We live in this or society. It's an and. You can have great strategy, great everything else, great systems, great product, and you can have a great culture and great core values. It's up to you. Take the time to bring them to life. These guys help. Hey, Dr. Tony here, and I wanted to say thank you for listening to the Family Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to the show so you don't miss a thing. Also, if you're looking for more content from us, you can absolutely subscribe to our newsletter, watch exclusive episodes on YouTube, and dive deep into the articles and blogs on our website. All of this is linked in today's show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.